Hello world, Shelly here, and it's Foundation Fest Day 2, and we are going to keep on rolling with the foundation reviews. And today I have got an oldie but goodie from Clinique. It is the Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. Now this comes in 27 shades. It's got a really good shade range, packaging. Little box is beautiful, very, very pretty packaging. You get 1 fluid ounce for $28, so it is a pretty reasonably priced foundation for the high end. And between Sephora and Ulta, it's got several thousand reviews and it averages 4.2 out of 5 stars. So sounds pretty good. Let's take a look at some of the claims on their website. This is said to be full coverage and designed for sensitive, dry, normal, or combination skin. So the only one they've recommended off of the list is oily skin. It's a 12-hour wear, oil-free foundation and concealer in one that achieves a flawless look that lasts all day. It's considered lightweight, moisturizing, full coverage, doesn't clog pores, breathable formula, ideal for very dry to combo oily skin types. It's got a special polymer formula that forms a flexible film that moves with the skin for lasting wear, and it dries slowly for easy blending. I've never seen a foundation discuss that before. Lasting coverage, perfected look, has no parabens, and little goes a long way. That's what they say. Non-comedogenic, dermatologist tested, sweat and humidity resistant, ophthalmologist tested, so I'm guessing it's okay for contact lens wearers, and allergy tested, and has 100% no fragrance. No fragrance. So that's what we're starting out with. The dispenser is a wand. Not my favorite thing in the world because you touch it to your skin and then put it back in the bottle. However, at least the bottle does not get air into it. I like pumps. I just like pumps. I'm starting out with a 43-year-old face. I've got some sun damage and texture, especially on this side of my face, that I like to cover up and blur. I've got fine lines around my mouth, on my forehead, and my crow's feet that foundation likes to settle into. And I've got enlarged pores around the sides of my cheeks here and the center of my forehead. And if foundation's going to give me trouble, it will usually give me trouble with my pores. So those are the things that I am trying to blur, cover up, get rid of. And we will see if the Clinique Beyond Perfecting can beyond perfect this face. So let's take a look at some swatches of this product compared to some other foundations in my collection. Let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer in shade 0.5 Breeze. This is listed as very fair pink undertone. Next is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. This is in shade 1C1 Cool Bone. That's Polly's Tail you are looking at right now. Third up is the YSL All Hours Foundation in shade BR10. That is Cool Porcelain. Next is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid in shade NW10. And last we have Urban Decay's All Nighter Foundation in shade 1.5. I have already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my face. I have primed with the Too Faced Hangover 3-in-1 Primer Setting Spray. This stuff is a replenishing primer that is really good for dry skin and hydration, and that's what I need this time of year. I'm going to go in as usual on one side of my face with a sponge. This is my new favorite, the Eco Tools Total Perfecting Blender Sponge, and the other side I will use a brush. I swear this is clean. This is the Real Techniques, I think they call it the Blend and Blur foundation brush. It's their new paddle brush. We'll see if there is a preference one way or another. The product instructions did mention that a little bit of product goes a long way, so I will try to keep that in mind. I've got this in the shade 0.5 Breeze, which is described as a very fair pink undertone. This blends out pretty easily with the sponge. I would say it's about a nice medium coverage on the first pass with the sponge. You know, it looks okay. It's not really doing anything to smooth texture or blur pores, but it's not accentuating anything in a negative way either. Definitely better coverage with the brush in the sense that you actually should probably use even less product because it looks a little heavy. I'd say we are quite near full coverage with the brush in one pass. It looks a little bit streaky and a little bit heavy. I'm going to go in with a little more product on the sponge side and go over everything with a sponge and try to sort of tone it down the streakiness a little bit. I'm not super impressed with the finish right now. I feel like the sponge looks a lot smoother, but it also is a lot more patchy, where the brush looks heavy and a little cakey, but at least gives you full coverage without, you know, redness and sort of patchiness coming through. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like it's getting a little bit darker. We might have a little bit of oxidation going on. If we don't, I still feel like this is a pretty dark foundation for being called very fair. This is the second lightest shade, and I would say it's not very light at all. It's gonna work for me, but I'm not the palest of the pale. Now this claims to also be a concealer, so I'm gonna go in and conceal with it. Now I would typically want a highlighting, sort of a brightening concealer, and this just about matches my skin tone. That said, it's not doing a bad job at covering my under eye circles. It's a little crepey on my under eye texture. Looks just a little bit of settling into my forehead. I don't know, I feel like you can tell I'm wearing makeup. It's a little bit heavy sitting on the skin. It's not doing any favors for texture or pores. It's not accentuating them, but it's not blurring them at all. I'm just sort of not in love with the look of this foundation right this second. But I will go put on the rest of my face. The time is 1:04. Let's call the check-in time 1 o'clock, and I will be right back. Okay, this foundation looks straight up gross on my skin. It is scaling all on my cheeks here, all on my lower cheek over here. Texture pores don't look any bit blurred whatsoever. It is settling into lines like crazy, and I'm pretty sure it oxidized about half a shade to a shade at this point. I can clearly see where I brought it down my neck, and not a fan, but I have to go to work, so I'm gonna wear it. On my eyes, I've just got a Lorac Pro, little bit of mishmash. Bronzer is Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Blush is Tarte and Exposed. Highlight is Hourglass Ambient in Incandescent. Mascara is the Maybelline Total Temptation. Lip is, this is one of the old summer releases from last year. Revlon, this is the HD, I can't read it. It's number 760. These were limited edition last summer, and I'm not liking this foundation. Not liking it at all. Looks heavy, it looks cakey, it's patchy, it's flaking, it's scaling. Yeah, let me zoom you guys in one more time just to show you up close what is happening. Can you see the scaling going on all around here? And it's happening over here as well. Just sort of patchy. You can almost see pink coming through, but then it's also clinging to, it's not even dry patches, it's just scales of skin. Like, and then the forehead looks super, super heavy. Really heavy, very heavy around my mouth, but also patchy. See how my chin looks a little bit pink? Like, Gonna go ahead with the wear test. I will check back with a daylight check-in in a bit, and I'll come back tonight with my final thoughts. It's gonna take a miracle to resolve this one, guys. Hey guys, daylight check-in here, and a little bit dark, We're at about the 4-hour mark now. It's just about 5 o'clock p.m. and easiest place to see my skin is my shoulders, and compare that to my face. We got a little bit of oxidation happening. Yeah, not so great. Nothing looks any better than it did, and for a foundation that claims to have a matte finish, it's starting to look a little bit dewy, I think. And I do not have oily skin, so that's where we're at 4 hours. I will be back tonight with a final check-in. Hey guys, it is 8:02, so that puts us at about the 7-hour mark, and I am convinced that more time will not change my opinion of this foundation, so we are going to wrap this up so I can wash it off my face. Let's just start at the bottom, shall we? It's breaking up everywhere. It's breaking up on my chin, it's breaking up around my smile lines, around my nose, it's breaking up between my eyebrows. It is wearing off my nose very splotchily. It is basically gone around my nostrils except for where it has caked onto the dry patches. Still looks scaly on my cheeks. My left cheek is still holding its original bronzer and blush. My right cheek seems to have just, the product has all faded off of my face, and that's the side that I used the brush on, which seemed to have better coverage to start out with, so I'm surprised that that's the side that is losing coverage now. I do think this oxidized about a shade. Not terrible oxidation, but there was some. It is a little too dark for me now. It oxidized a little bit toward the, orangish yellow color, which if you have a cool undertone to your skin is going to be more noticeable. It looks really heavy. It looks really cakey. It just looks pretty bad up close. For a foundation that claims to be hydrating, according to the package, I don't think it's hydrating. I think it is slightly drying. I want to wash my face. It is slightly itchy. It's slightly drying. I'm starting to get drag lines around my crow's feet and on my cheeks here, and that's kind of the sign of foundation not working and drying me out. I would not recommend using this as a concealer, even though they call it a foundation and concealer. It's settled constantly into the fine lines under my eyes. It made my under eyes look super crepey and really didn't do the best job at covering my dark circles, especially now that the product's fading out. You can really see my purple. It covered a little bit better in the beginning, but we're only at the 7-hour mark, people. This is something that claims to be a long wear foundation, and 7 hours is not a long time at all. This is what I would call like expectations of a half-day wear. Like, this is not, long wear to me is 12 plus, and we are nowhere near the 12-hour mark, and this is not holding up at all. So if I had to give a grade to the Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation plus concealer, we're talking about maturing skin, dry skin, I'm giving it a D-. The reason it's not an F is because at a distance, for the first 4 hours or so, it looked decent. It was wearable. Up close, I thought it looked pretty horrendous, but I did run into a colleague of mine who we share foundations and tips and things, and she didn't think it looked terrible. Her exact words were, "It looks okay, it just looks a bit heavy." So I'd call it mildly wearable in certain circumstances for a very short amount of time, and for that reason it's a D-. I don't have anything else positive to say about it. I really don't like this. I will not be reaching for it. I hope that you find this helpful if you've got similar concerns to me. But again, everybody's body chemistries are different. So something that doesn't work for me might work for you, vice versa. This is not the be-all, end-all, and everybody will have their own experiences because the pH of your skin, your body chemistry, it just all varies. And all of that affects how makeup wears and applies and oxidizes or not. And I just seem to be prone to oxidation lately. I don't know what my body is doing, but there you have it. D- on the Clinique. Not gonna wear this one. I cannot recommend it for maturing skin or for dry skin. If you love it, I am so glad that you do. If you'd like to see more foundation reviews, give me a thumbs up down below. Let me know what foundations you would like me to check out. We are 2 days into a 5-day foundation fest where I give you 5 days in a row of foundation reviews. Let's say better luck tomorrow. How about that? Please stop by tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I typically post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so click the notification bell and subscribe if you would like to be notified whenever I post new videos. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.